NACADA has proposed to raise the legal drinking age from 18 years to 21 years, and as part of sweeping new measures outlined in the national policy to combat alcohol, drugs, and substance abuse. NACADA has also proposed the banning of the sale of alcohol in public spaces such as sports facilities, medical facilities, supermarkets, and residential premises, among other areas. The policy seeks to prohibit the use of public figures including musicians, actors, athletes, social media influencers, and media personalities to endorse or promote alcohol. While speaking at the launch, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen emphasized the government's tough stance against drug traffickers and distributors of illicit alcohol. The CS proposed the seizing of all assets acquired through the illegal drug trade by drug traffickers to undermine their operations.
I will be engaging the Asset Recovery Agency to see how best we can also make it more punitive, first of all, for those who are engaged in these acts, especially because they get very lenient fines. So maybe the best way is to take away the lorry, the car, the equipment, their businesses, their assets that they are built over time. And it's important for asset recovery to appreciate that the law on the proceeds of crimes and anti-money laundering law is not only focusing on corruption. It also focuses on all crimes, all proceeds of all crimes.
The policy, developed through extensive stakeholder engagement, marks a significant shift toward prevention and regulation.
All right, it is definitely the biggest discussion, featuring as a main headline on most of the dailies today. On the front page of the Star, alcohol ban plan to strike traders and jobs hard. On the Daily Nation, uproar over new alcohol rules. Taifa Leo, walevi wakaziwa. And I think it's also there on the People Daily, NACADA gets drunk on beer. I think it's only the Standard that has gone with something different, handout masters. Yes, it is also the top story here on TV 47. Definitely something that we have to discuss. With my panel this morning, Robert Alai, MCA, Kilelesho Ward, karibu sana. Wilson Sosion, Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, former SGK and UT and also a former member of the National Assembly. Kimone, Director, Public Participation, Nyandarua County. Karibu sana. It's been a while. I haven't seen you on this panel.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
And Dr. Peter Mbaye, who is a Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP. Gentlemen, karibuni sana to TV 47.
Thank you.
A few things do come up on whether or not some of these proposals, which are yet to be made enforceable through a proper legislative framework, that will come. Issues around whether or not they are in compliance with the provisions of the Constitution. But from your perspective, when I lie, I know you've been at the forefront of fighting some of these establishments that are in residential areas, but we also do realize that these laws have been in existence for quite a while, especially the one providing for the distance between a point of sale of alcohol and residential areas. And one wonders, we keep hearing this proposal about 300 meters over and over. Isn't the issue not a lack of legislation, and probably it's just about lack of enforcement?
I agree with you. Thank you so much, Fred, again for the invite. I think what is lacking here is enforcement, because I am in the county of Nairobi as a legislator, and some of the things which NACADA is trying to do are at the devolved level. And we find it very absurd that, we must be very moderate in some of these moves you're making, especially on the vice economy, because we've tried this before, and especially with the governor and with the deputy governor and the whole assembly, we have tried to be very strict on some of this enforcement. But we came to realize that it is actually the whole planning mechanism of the city. Because Kitambo used to have what is called shopping centers, and used to be very clearly defined that South Sea, there's a shopping center here, this is where everybody can go, set up a bar, shops, whatever. Now there's no definition. Sakaja tried to come up with something called the boroughs. So the boroughs, like the New York ones, it's a foreign idea. They are not well, planned out, and we still think that we have to go back to the planning. But when you try to control the vice economy, you are also trying to affect the family directly. When we came very hard on enforcement, we realized that the crime at home, domestic crime, was going up. You know, there was a lot of violent crimes in the families, you know, people are taking out. When people go and blow off steam in some of these dens and, you know, they take their small pints of alcohol and drink, it relieves pressure of the family and even in the workplace. But when we are so hard on them, so I would urge NACADA to sit down with the liquor board, because we have the liquor board in the county, which is supposed to do some of this licensing, you know, the control, sale, you know, take out the sensors on the drinking places. We know there's a law on the setup of the alcohol, the drinking, you know, where you can consume alcohol. But you know, Mwalimu is here, and he can tell you that education in Nairobi is 70% private, and the 70% private in this way, that most of the schools we have, it is a bar at night, but it's a school during the day.
A bar at night?
It's a bar at night. Some of the schools are actually bars at night, like in the slum areas. Most of the schools in slum areas, because we have not built enough schools. If you compare a rural constituency like Nyando, Nyando has an average of 140, with a lower population, under 140 primary schools. When you come to Dagoretti North, Yote, primary schools, I don't think that they are more than 10. You see? But the population in Dagoretti North is higher.
Okay.
Where are these other students going to school? They are going to schools which are churches during the weekend, but during the weekdays, they are schools. They are going to schools which are bars at night. So how is this distance thing going to work?
Yes, and it raises a question about the involvement of stakeholders in this discussion, because industry players, especially those involved in alcohol sale and distribution, are claiming they were not involved in the coming up of this extensive, such an extensive policy. Of course, probably during public participation, when Parliament is working on the legislation, there'll be that. But how do you come up with such an extensive policy without involving people, including even the schools, to give their ideas on the same?
You know, Fred, you're just looking at an implementation of a policy, but you're not looking at the genesis of the whole challenge. And from Mheshimiwa here, you can agree the social challenges of a heavily populated city that is not thoroughly planned is extreme. People want to drink, and you may not stop them from drinking. The only thing you want to decide is where they will drink and where they should not. Children want to go to school, but you don't have those infrastructure and facilities. And you can go on to diagnose the social services needs in any city, like healthcare and many others. And this boils down to planning of any city. How are our cities planned? Before you bring in NACADA, before you bring in what? So that they fit in place like a chick. So if you talk of public participation, and I've always argued that the public participation is a very good principle in the Constitution, but we have not legislated how we can conduct quality public participation that can give us the desired results. So these titanic pronouncements and coming up with a policy simply because you are a body and you get down, you get the bottlenecks, you are getting the city, they've tried the same, they're trying to work on it, it's not working. So I think we all have to go back, particularly with the cities. Because if you go to decent cities in the world, say Washington, where and the rest, it is so planned, so meticulous, that it's flawless. You can't get this nonsense of where people should drink and where people should do what. And it's a decent city that really is also a tourist destination. Can we now begin thinking about our cities differently so that we restructure the entire organization and model, including housing? Where do we put up housing? Because we are talking about getting rid of slums. And when you're getting rid of slums, it means we are revolutionizing settlement. And when affordable housing is a key flagship that must be delivered by government. And the impact may not be felt in 5 years. Maybe towards 10 years is when you'll feel. Towards 15 years is when it will make sense. Because we have to get rid of informal settlements that are not decent to the city. Work on the other infrastructure, on where to locate schools. Okay. I have been campaigning furiously against privatization in and of education in cities, particularly those exploiting poor households, and government investment in building more classrooms in existing space has been a challenge. Okay. And even we proposed that the cities and the counties should then even take over transport of children from their homes to schools, because you can get in some slums, there are far distances that children cannot walk. Yeah. And there is need to replan the entire social structure of the city in totality. And it becomes a total national conversation. And that is where NACADA will fall in, the Ministry of Education will fall in, the Ministry of Health will fall in, the Ministry of Interior, the leadership, the national government and the county government. Okay. It should be a whole government approach, but it cannot be just one small organization. You take some legislation to parliament, you struggle with something that looks like participation.
Because we have a director of public participation here from Nyandarua County. At what point does public participation really matter? Because if at all you can come up with such an extensive policy framework, then that is the only thing that will be discussed even in connection with the connecting legislation. No one will be able to give new proposals, yet stakeholders are there, and probably they may have had better proposals for NACADA if they've not been involved up until now. What will the public participation going forward matter?
Thank you, Indimuli. You asked a very prominent and pertinent question that I have always said. Most of the policies we come up with, we only have public participation in most of these things just to check the boxes, just because the Constitution allows and provides for us to conduct public participation. But personally, as a director of public participation in Nyandarua, most of the public participation exercises we do, they are not public participation, they are public attendances.
Correct.
Because if you have not an informed citizenry that you have invited for the public participation, there's nothing they will participate on. They will only come to listen to your views, and then because they have this tendency and of thinking that because you're a leader or because you hold this office, you know what you're telling them. For them, they are not there. The moment NACADA comes with such a policy, I'm a policy formulator because that is my area of specialization in the Muli. I always ask, at what stage did you involve the people that you're developing this policy for? Because I remember Nyandarua is one of the counties that have Nyandarua County and Alcoholic Drinks Control Act that was passed in 2023 when there was that uproar of too much illicit brew that is in our counties. But I always ask, when I conducted a public participation, the members of Bar Owners Club came and I asked them, this is a public participation. You are all up in arms because of the zoning that the county has done, the timelines that have been given for you to do yourselves. But let me ask you, who here consumes what you sell? Who is also affected by what you're distributing? Where are the kids? Because we only look at public participation to the person who is doing the business, who is affected by the business. So in all these policies that we're doing, and even in this good pronouncement by NACADA, we are looking at the hardware, but we're not looking at the software because we are too good at renovating the structure, but the foundation is wrong. We should be asking one question. The formulators of this policy, you should have asked them one question. What causes abuse of drugs, of substance? That is where we get it wrong.
Okay. Dr. Mbaye, there are also questions about whether or not any of these proposals could be in conflict with the Constitution. Things around issues to do with on discrimination, probably based on gender or based on age. The fact that an 18-year-old who holds a national ID as an adult in Kenya will be told that now you cannot do this or the other. And this is a government policy. Do you think that, yes, some of these proposals may not necessarily be watertight?
First, we are every day bombarded by some, sorry to say, but some weird and crazy things when Kenya has more important things to handle anyway. I don't think these are the most important things we need to be handled as a nation. I don't know where the priorities of the state operators are. So one, the national government will argue this is policy formulation, but even if it's a policy formulation, which is a role of the national government, you should involve the county governments who are ultimately going to consume this law finally, so that even in this formulation of the policy, that's number one. Number two, quickly, is when you look at the formulation of this thing, age issue, remember, not consumption, even handling. So it means 18 to 21, people are going to lose jobs, because handling means you are working in that industry. You know, many of those guys are the guys who who deliver. You know, they handle alcohol, maybe they're taking it out there. So that's a big issue. And but for me, I try to go behind to begin thinking, what is the cause of all this? Why all this? One, this country has no shortage of laws. Oh yes, there is a Kinamutudo law and many others that depend heavily on the county government for implementation. I've been at the local leadership in the counties. Every time the police will go and say, no, the county government is the one that licenses these clubs and bars. Yet they are not involved, because I've looked at all the people who are involved here, even the bar owners and all that, they have not been involved. You know, so it's like, are we saying that, Fred, this is something that came from up there? Again, this country, the way it is, the way it runs, things come from somewhere. Somebody gets a vision at night that because we are holy and we are children of, we went to Sunday school and children of pastors, we need to bring down that moral. You know, you stop focusing on what you are supposed to be focusing on. The holier than thou attitude comes, and you drop some instruction. We want the bars to be handled ABCD because young people are taking alcohol. Come on, that's what this looks like. It is not a bottom. It's not something generic coming up from the need of the industry, because one, there are existing laws. Secondly, this thing is illegal, is unconstitutional. So I'm thinking somebody may have slept, and maybe elevation came that, look here, beyond, I send you to go and control, laying on the young people because they are taking so much alcohol. And then something like this comes up one day in the media. And it's so really, what is all this about? I mean, let me tell you, what NACADA should be telling us, if it's genuine and organic, tell us who are the drug barons, who have made our young people zombies, people who import narcotics and all that. It is there, all the documentation from UN. The information is all over in this country. Tell us who are these. These are the real things people want to hear. I have been a leader in Nakuru County government for 10 years. We have followed to schools where bang is sold, schools, like schools, secondary schools, you are called by principals. Actually, I have gone to do counseling to tell young people not to go and smoke bang in toilets. This bang, when we follow, we talk to the county commander and everybody. It comes from somewhere in the border of Tanzania and Uganda. It comes all the way, all the counties of Rift Valley, Western and Nyanza. NACADA, tell us who are the people behind the bang. Don't stop telling us about other things here. There are laws, and I'm saying this. Yes, all these things, there are laws there. Don't come and try to invent things. By trying to show that you are holy, suddenly you become so holy, you want to lay in on the... Tell us who...
That you don't agree with the intention, because the intention is clear, and it's coming from a positive perspective, that there's a problem in Kenya with alcohol consumption, especially by the younger generation, and that it needs to be tamed some way.
No, quickly. Thank you so much. There's a problem. Assuming there's a problem, there are laws already. Don't come and tell us you are the one who have come to Kenya today and inventing new things. Who told you we are in here? There are so many laws. And by the way, the question is this. Who is supposed to handle this? It is the county government. They were not involved. We didn't see any governor here. We didn't see nothing. We didn't see public participation. There's nothing. So there is somebody who wants to show they are working, but on the wrong thing. Please tell us who is making our young people zombies. There is a problem, and I'm saying this. Could there be a problem of drinking? People going to open spaces, all that. Please stop it. Come address the issue.
Are we saying, Banalai, that the intention may be good, but NACADA missed the point?
I think NACADA missed the point by far. I think that the issue is best handled by the counties. This is a devolved function, and it's very challenging. Sometimes we've told the counties that they need to equip especially the funds, the liquor board, and so on. and the enforcement unit, because we have enforcement units who are supposed to be checking on some of these environmental pollutions and even the drinking beyond hours, the setup of schools, the whole planning mechanism. There's an enforcement unit for that. We need to realize that even in Nairobi, we have so many bars, but also the structure of this society and even our good manners, which were sometimes self-enforcement, which were working at some point, were destroyed, were kind of disturbed by COVID-19. And COVID-19 brought the idea of the minimum staggering distance, where now the residential places became the best venues for setting up bars and so on. And the license were issued, from cars, the then governor and the whole city leadership went about issuing. Now Nairobi has, I think, more than 3,000 nightclubs and bars in a city which should not have more than 500. So I think that we need to realize that we can control them, but also the whole setup, the whole planning should be controlled. Because even the CBD, how is it that we are so active? The residential area is so active, even up to morning. We are drinking from night to night, but the CBD is dead by 7 p.m. If you walk into some of the places where we used to have a lot of bars and pubs set up, like Koinange Street, totally dead. By 8 p.m. you cannot find much life there apart from one, maybe Sape, which is there. So, and it's the pressure, what kind of planning allowed the killing of these critical sectors, and the pressure is still on the CBD to remove some of these bars. But I think that it is upon the next governor or the current governor to decide that we are going to enforce, we are going to set up areas where we are going to have the vice economy, where we are going to have nightclubs, people can go and enjoy themselves. Also in residential areas, what can we and should we not do? Because if we leave the pressure as it is today, NACADA is trying to control something which it is not within their mandate, but they're seeing the problem. The challenge is it is within the county's mandate, and the counties have to rise up and decide to ensure, because it's basically trading. It's the vice economy. We might be talking about alcohol and drugs and so on, but because the challenge is that where you see the bars and pubs are going, drugs follow. Shisha follows, cocaine follow, prostitution follow. So you'll see if you're a keen observer, if you just sit in front of some of these very popular nightclubs at night in the car, I'll just tell you that those people are exchanging probably drugs.
And yes, there's already the issue of narcotics, but alcohol has been regulated for the longest time. Of course, there are issues also around illicit alcohol, but we're also aware that sale and consumption of alcohol contributes to a great extent to the revenue collection in Kenya. Some of these proposals have the potential of restricting businesses, the sale of alcohol in supermarkets, the sale of alcohol within bars. Do you think that could also be a potential problem at a time when we're facing some serious financial constraints?
When I traveled to Saudi Arabia, I established that the entire Saudi Arabia, alcohol does not exist. It is banned. It's a strong economy.
They have fuel.
It does well.
Oil.
And in fact, away from oil, it's already doing very well in agriculture with modern technology, dairying, and the rest. So I don't think we can use drugs and substances as a source, as an argument of raising revenue. I think we will be going the wrong direction as a country, and all this must be regulated. And you see, in a country where the youth unemployment rate is almost at 68%, and if you look at the population in the city, it's made up of a significant percentage of people who don't have anything to do. So the best thing they do is to meet in social places as early as morning, and the only thing they can do is to indulge in drinking. I want to agree, NACADA has a very strong point, very strong one. But the problem is the challenge of how to approach it. And as I said, this one needs a whole government approach. We are dealing with a social challenge. And the indicator of that social challenge is over-drinking and so many bars coming up in so many places, drugs flowing and substances in different places. So I think for the cities, all the cities actually in Kenya, we may need to revisit the constitution and restructure our cities. And the idea of NACADA should be integrated with the programs of the counties, so that then we see NACADA working with the county government of Nairobi to come up with viable legislation, laws, and policies
that may be different from
that can
laws
structure
that
the
will
city.
work in Nyandarua, for example.
That can structure the city. Yeah, of course. Nyandarua may design their own because the counties are not the same. Nyandarua is a rural agricultural county, and they can structure it their own way. But you see, once it works well in Nairobi, it can be replicated right across the counties. Go to Kisumu City. You get rid of the slums and other things and restructure in more or less the same way. The beauty with Kenya is that a good idea that has been implemented replicates itself so fast across the country. This is a very progressive country, and I think that is what we need to do. We need to restructure our cities. Okay. But then we must deal with the serious underlying factors. The population explosion and low unemployment rate and serious economic challenges that we have will contribute to the continuous consumption of these substances. And then very lastly, you know, if we structure a society of strong values and value systems, these substances may not be a problem. But we must control the production and the circulation of such harmful substances as a country in terms of legislation. Okay. And let us not give an excuse that alcohol and all these substances is a source of revenue.
Are we attempting to moralize
Saudi Arabia, where there's no alcohol and is a good economy? Well, and don't give an excuse of oil.
Fred, before Kibode comes in, I would like to remind my good teacher that page 7 of the Standard, if you go there, you'll find the declared profits for EABL. Out of the, you know, I think in the year they got the earnings of 19 billion. Out of 19 billion, they paid a tax of 7 billion. So huge. Okay. It's very huge. It's huge. Yeah.
I thank you, Ndimuli, and I want the County Assembly member for Kileleshwa to get this. I support the idea that NACADA wants this to happen, but I will go back to my point. What is the source? What is the cause of this social decay? And I'm always saying we might be having moral fabric that does not exist. Because if the youths that we want now to target and say that, no, it is about age, you should not be drinking, is it that the youth are too idle that they can only relieve their stress by drinking? Because if the problem is unemployment, as Mwalimu has said, go to Kuwait, the strongest currency in the world, zero alcohol. Even at the airport, whether you're a tourist or not, you go to Kuwait, you are teetotaler. You go to Iran, go everywhere. Why is it that we want to commercialize criminalities? Because the problem with
alcohol is criminality.
No. I'm saying what our economy and our leaders do is they look at the amount of money we can make out of this legislation or this proposal. And that is why I'm saying if we can always be equating how much do we want to gain or to lose when we bring this policy, we get it wrong. Because as someone who smokes, you may be buying your cigarette, that stick for 10 shillings. But the ripple effect, when you will start being treated for cancer or all those things, it will take too much from your family and the economy that we would not have even seen in the ripple effect of the amount of taxes you are paying when you're consuming it. So my point is this: we should not be looking at how do we regulate sale of alcohol, because this is not a source of revenue per se. We should be looking at what causes the youth or the families to be drinking this much. Because the moment we engage them in most productive activities income generating activities, we will be increasing our tax base. So we will not even be looking at increasing. We'll be looking at how do we ban these things, because after all, it is not bringing us anything anyway. But now, when we have so many people, when we have so many people who can only drink, that is where we will be focusing on.
On the front page of the Daily Nation, they say, uproar over new alcohol rules, alcohol ban plan to strike traders' jobs hard. And the People Daily being a much harsher headline saying that NACADA is drunk on beer.
I think.
We need to take a break. Allow me to cut you short. We need to take a break, and we'll come back. I'll give you the first go on this. We are watching Morning Cafe. Let's take a short break.
Equip Africa Institute, which is the TVET arm of Mount Kenya University, offers competitive market-driven programs with a niche in medical and health sciences, hospitality, tourism and travel studies, journalism, information technology, engineering and driving. You have a wide range of careers to choose from. Enroll in our Thika, Kitale, Nakuru, Malindi, Mombasa, Kisii and Nairobi campuses. Equip Africa Institute, promoting competence, innovation and excellence.
We are in Runyanjas today, spending time with the Aembu community and learning how to prepare a fermented porridge known as Oshuruwamo Kio.
Sasa unajua mimi sijaona mtu akisiaga na maji.
Kama ni ya uji ndio iko na maji.
Hii one more.
Moshoi, a meal made of arrowroots and bananas, as well as gonya mato, an interesting mash with multiple ingredients.
Want some more? Food security. You are food secure now.
Oh, I like that.
Welcome to Foods of Kenya.
Yes, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Freddy Ndimuli. I'm still in studio with my panelists, Dr. Peter Mbaya, Kimone, Wilson Sosion, and MCA Robert Elai. But Dr. Mbaya was to give you an opportunity to have the final word on this.
Just short. First, I'm listening here, and I'm listening to the county government speak. And I'm happy today for this topic. We have a sitting member of the county assembly and a senior member of the executive from two different counties. All along, people have been saying, or if you look at the national government administration in the counties, they say we blame the county government for licensing so many bars. In a center where we are supposed to have 15 or 20, we have 100. Now, the national government officers say it is the county that licenses. We have, listen, the people who are supposed to license bars locally are sub-county liquor licensing boards.
Committees, yes.
Committees. Yes. These are people there, and I don't know which formula. So they will go to 100, and sorry to say this, a lot of times money changes hands. They are here. I'm saying because I know. I mean, I'm an expert on devolution for the last 10 years. So I know, I have an idea.
Revenue changes hands.
So revenue changes hands. No, well, don't call it revenue. Money changes hands, right? Now, that is number one problem. Number two problem, please, Fred, all of us have where we come from religiously. But don't moralize issues. When you are not able to sort the problem, don't run away to morals. Don't try to go back to morals, ethics, and all that, right? We have a problem here. We need just to ask ourselves how to handle it. There are enough laws. I expected to see county government so they can see why are there so many bars everywhere. In a small center like Kabazi, a center in Nakuru, where there's supposed to be 15, there are over 100. Where there's supposed to be 5 in all those centers, because there's some board that does all these things. Then there's the issue of the county. Counties talk about money. He is here. Their focus number one is money that they are going to get from that thing. But the whole issue is, Fred, as we finish this, we can't have government crying I have just said this problem can be solved by the next governor. I don't know. Are we saying now already we have given up? The whole city of Nairobi, Alai represented the one and only Alai. They have given up now. They are saying the next governor should plan. I thought he's the current member of the county assembly. Is he saying the current governor is not able to do this? Now, they are all talking about planning. Who should plan, Fred? Is it the opposition or government? If you are in power, and I've always said this, please, if you are in government, be careful how you respond to questions. Because you can't begin crying when other people are crying. Now, when you begin saying, oh, there needs to be planning, oh, there needs to be proper planning, we need to talk about social issues, you are the one who is supposed to give solutions to answers to problems. Don't come and preach to us. Okay. And finally, my whole problem with this thing, if you look at it this way, instead of looking at the whole issues about all this problem of the drinking, if, for example, you say sale and drinking prohibited at supermarkets, now listen to this, at restaurants, at dining areas in members' clubs, how are you going to enforce these things? Yeah. And what are you trying to look at? I want to go back to where I started. My thinking is that somebody somewhere sat at night and thought that because I am a Sunday school person, I'm a son of a pastor, the only thing to do is to come and say no more drinking without really looking at, you must balance morality and reality. That is where my problem is with all this. There are more serious challenges in this country. We include in education, including health, including public debt, including stealing of public resources.
Unemployment and
unemployment.
That is what is making us drink.
Those are the issues that we should be handling instead of causing the whole nation to discuss about these things.
Yes, indeed, but at least 4 of the 6 dailies that we look at have directed us towards that discussion on alcohol ban, or at least that proposal containing that policy proposal by NACADA, which will still need some legislative framework to enable enforcement. And if at all that had not been a headline, I can tell you for sure the Star would have gone with ODM splinter group now planning parallel activities, because that story has been given prominence on this paper, pages 4 and 5. And this spread, pages 4 and 5 on the Star, is usually reserved for the main headline.
Yes, they put.
So ODM splinter group now plans parallel activities. This comes only days after we saw the party give a joint statement, a party position on the issues of the working relationship with the administration of the day. And that statement was read out by none other than Edwin Sfiuna, the party secretary general. When I have seen you, your continued criticism of Edwin Sfiuna, even after that joint public statement. And one of your tweets simply indicated that he's smelling like Wamunyoro. What exactly did you mean by that? And
how does Wamunyoro smell?
No, thank you so much. It's smelling like Mbaye. But Mbaye here, you know.
I'm sitting right next to you.
And you cannot smell it.
I cannot smell it.
We'll come to it.
You can hear how Dr. Mbaye tried to turn this alcohol and narcotics issue to become a political issue, and say whoever is importing this, they want to, oh, it's a moral issue, whatever. But Fred, I think it is very fair to say that if somebody wants to exit the arrangement which we have with the Kenya Kwanza under the broad-based government, it is only fair that they know that they are the minority and they exit very fast. But we would like to urge them, because we are seeing a lot of activities which the splinter group, the Saboti MP, now, we talk to some people who are close to the Secretary General, because if our Secretary General cannot be allowed to attend such meetings, if he's going to attend such meetings, which are organized by people who are not agreeing with the party position, then it's only fair that he is relieved of the position of the Secretary General. Because ODM is a party of discipline. It's not a party where you just go create your own movement and follow. If we have a party leader, and the party leader is aligned, the party members are aligned, the party secretary general cannot communicate something which is controversial and rebellious. So it is only fair that if they are going to be having their own different position, which they are trying to move away from the current arrangement which we have, in a democracy, the majority have their way, the minority have had their say. It is only fair that if they don't agree with the majority, then they now form their own, or they join a vehicle which can, take care of their interests.
You don't see a risk in having so many popular, if I may call them so,
Popular?
members of parliament.
Who is popular there? Nobody popular.
I've seen Babu Owino, who's serving his second term.
Babu Owino does not know how he was elected.
Amisi, Wilberforce Owino, Anthony Kibagendi, Edwin Sfiuna. These are very vocal members of the ODM party.
Those people, let me tell you, in ODM here, the only person who gives you most of the votes, 80% of the votes, if you've been elected to the ODM, 80% of the votes you have is because of Raila Amolo Odinga. Edwin Sifuna is not as popular as Babu was. Babu even went to parliament. And you know, history sometimes repeats itself. You remember when Babu Namwamba was communicating a different position from the party. And even the last person to do interview with him on TV was Owino Okwara. So maybe history is repeating itself, and I see a situation where we are going to experience the same. The person who took after Babu, who actually declared himself the Secretary General, we've never had election there. So probably this is the first time you're going to have an election for the Secretary General, because the elections are continuing. We are now getting to the ward level, the branch level, and now when we get to the county and eventually to the national level, probably we'll need to have a Secretary General who the party members agree with.
Probably the genesis of this feud, even after the party had given its party position and read out by the spokesperson who's the Secretary General, is an event slated for this Sunday to be held in Saboti constituency, hosted by none other than Caleb Amisi, the MP from that constituency, who's an ODM member. Chief guest will be Senator Edwin Sifuna. But there are other people who've been invited for this, including, I can see Mohammed Ali, MP of Nyali, who's at loggerheads with the party position. I can see Gathoni wa Mushomba. We do have a story here covered on TV 47 as well, asking the same question. Is the SG of ODM, Edwin Sifuna, planning an exit from the party? Just before I give Bwana Sfiuna a chance to talk about this, let's have it.
A women fundraising event to be hosted by Saboti MP Caleb Amisi in his constituency in Trans Nzoia County on Sunday is full of political undertones due to the presence of invited guests in what appears to be a well-choreographed event dubbed the Renaissance. Amisi, just like ODM Party Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, is a vocal critic of the ODM UDA Working Pact.
Kuna watu wengi sana katika chama hawawezi kuwa na hawawezi kuwa na energy na capacity kama yangu ama ya Sifuna kuongea. Wanaumia tu, wanasema this was a wrong move, but they can't talk. And you can see ODM in the government only benefits a few people.
Among those expected are ODM and UDA rebels, as well as allies of opposition leaders Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Fred Matiang'i, as well as MPs unafraid to speak against the leadership of their respective parties. The presence of embattled ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna as the chief guest, assisted by former DP Rigathi Gachagua's ally and Githunguri MP Gathoni wa Mushomba, has caused speculation, given Sifuna is under pressure to quit ODM from Odinga's close allies, including his brother Oburu.
Sasa hii Sifuna akienda, what will happen? Yeah, so you can, if you threaten us that you can leave ODM, you can leave. Jared Okello is here. Jared Okello has better English because Jared Okello went to school in England.
Also expected is Embakasi's MP Babu Owino, Nyali MP Mohammed Ali, Kabuchai MP Majimbo Kalasinga, and Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi. Kalonzo's allies Yatta MP Robert Basil and Kaiti MP Joshua Kimilu will also be in attendance. Also expected are former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i's allies, Kitutu Masaba MP Clive Gisairo, his Kitutu Chache counterpart Anthony Kibagendi, and Bomachoge Borabu MP Obadia Barongo. Apul Kamau.
They're calling it the Renaissance, and this is an event slated for this Sunday in Saboti constituency. It is supposed to be a fundraiser for women programs, Wamama Power. But looking at the guest list there, and Bwana Sfiuna, you've been a member of ODM. You see some of the young, especially even by age, the younger members appearing to coalesce around the SG Edwin Sifuna. You think this is something that the party, ODM, can afford to ignore?
To me, and you can see, it's an attempt to bring those who might be falling out within UDA and ODM to form a group to look like you want to build some euphoria. I have been a devoted member of ODM for 15 years, 15 good years. And I still relate with ODM very well, the leadership, and my respectful relationship with the ODM is very strong. And I will tell you that ODM has a very strong leadership that cannot be shaken. And you saw the outcome of the Central Management Committee, CMC. It is democratic. You know, when a party has got internal structures that allows democratic processes to proceed, then nothing will ever go wrong. We saw Sifuna read the statement. And if he didn't agree with the statement, he wouldn't have read the statement. That lends credence to the fact that all decisions of the party are agreed upon and is communicated with the members. You've seen the party leader engage in consultations at the grassroots when he's taking key decisions. And this is a social democratic party that has stood the test of time from 2007 up to now 2025. It's still going strong. And UDA is a new party, but if you diagnose it, it's also made up of former ODM members, and therefore even the genetic coding is also a strong social democratic party. I'm a member of UDA currently, and the philosophies that underpins both parties are the same. These are social democratic parties, and that is why it's easy to coalesce and have them operate within the framework of the broad-based government. For the two parties to succeed, they must work within that broad-based arrangement. It's guided by the 10-point agenda. And if you look at the manifesto, when you talk of housing, it is the same for ODM, the same for UDA. When you look at education, it's the same. Employment of teachers, the same. And therefore, the interests are common and for the good of the country. So the country needs a very stable political ecosystem and reliable decisions from party organs. Okay. And so the aspirational behavior of the Sifunas, the MP for Sapoti, and the others who are trying to rebel, they need to coin a philosophy that is so convincing rather than just a blind desire of upsetting the status quo for the sake. And one thing I read with Sifuna is that, and we've heard from the grapevines, is that probably he might have been bargaining. He might have been bargaining for personal interest, which never came by, okay. And therefore the ranting is when he misses something. But I think that is not the right thing. Privileges in a political party come at their time, and being an SG of a party, that is the most serious.
Those are serious allegations that have not been verified by anyone.
I'm saying what I've heard.
We will
what I've heard. You follow the scheme of work.
We'll go with that. The issue here is this renaissance may not necessarily, and listen to the two gentlemen, cause a major dent in ODM. But do you get the feeling that it stands a chance of being potentially consequential politically?
It is, and I heard what Mwalimu said, that ODM is a highly disciplined party, and a member of County Assembly for Kileleshwa said that when party leader speaks, everyone should fall in line. My question and my point here is, Edwin Sifuna, the Nairobi senator, and the rest who have been quoted here, are they allowed by the party that they belong to exercise their own ideas, to express their own feelings, and also to give new ideas that are contrary to what the party leader is saying? Because what I'm looking at, what they are calling racism, is that the young men and women who are even in this poster now, they are looking at what Mwalimu has said, broad-based government, which I do not even believe in. Is it then wrong for Edwin Sfiuna and a member for Saboti to invite others also to portray what they are saying they are portraying, broad-based government? Is it wrong for them even to be associated with other members of parliament who may not be members of political party that they associate with? What the young men and women are doing here, and the noble idea that they are saying they're going for mama power, is that the members are expressing something that they want the nation to see. We are not only divided when it comes to our political ideologies, we are Kenyans first, and we can support each other from whatever corner of this country. Personally, I have not been to Saboti, and I'm actually, when Robert said that, I even thought of attending. Number one, I'll be attending the church service, and then I may invite Dr. Mbaye, because I heard him, he's very religious. We might go and support the women. But I want to understand, other than the politics and the muscle flexing of the members, what is this that you have to offer for the people? It's not about the party. It's not about popularizing the party. What are the issues of the people that you represent in Parliament or in the Senate that you are going to advocate? Because when it comes to us young men and women, we are not looking at who is the party leader. We are looking at what does this party represent? What does it stand for? Most of these political parties that we have to align with what the party leader says and thinks. But what does the people that you aspire to lead stand for?
All right. Dr. Mbaye, what's your take on this? Do they stand a chance of becoming a potentially powerful group going forward towards 2027? I think that's the question many people are asking.
Yeah, thank you. Two things that come to mind. Let's start with the presser the other day that the Central Committee forced Sfiuna to lead. He was very uncomfortable. The body language was very telling, and he was very, even to the media. He warned them before. Please, I don't want rumors. He was on the defensive. Yeah, and one thing that was very interesting is that Governor Wanga was clapping. She was very happy that finally we got you. Right? The other day you spoke, you had 4 hours on TV, brushing the ODM and the 10-point agenda. Here you are leading it. She was very happy, you could see. And SG didn't want anything. That was to tell you, he was being forced to read the statement. His heart was elsewhere. But remember, anytime you hear Sfiuna speak, I will repeat, I like being consistent in my political thinking. Raila Odinga is not very far. So people like Alai will be left in the middle of the road. Because Raila Omolo Odinga has 2 legs. People like Alai and the people in government who are eating right now, they must continue crapping, defending anybody, defending the 10-point agenda, the association with Ruto. But Sfiuna represents the real heart of the people. When you hear Sfiuna say, you are the people, ODM party, he means people moved, but another team must eat for now. Right? So at the end of the day, Baba's heart, he is the one who has sent Sfiuna to say what he's saying. Baba knows Sfiuna is going to that Sunday rally. With his consent. So the person here to watch is not Sfiuna. Forget about Wanga, what he's saying. And Robert, Alai is like the communication guy now. They are unofficial. Wacha wale wako ofisi. Yeye ndiye ameambiwa wewe endelea kutweet hizi vitu ukiandika. But I will tell you this, the truth. I don't know why people are surprised. Some of us who have done political analysis can tell you this. Baba is playing 2 cards. When the heat gets too much, he will simply jump out and say the 10-point agenda. Let me ask you, Fred, is it the time that the whole ODM have realized that there was technical team that was supposed to be in the MOU that has not been operationalized until now? That, we discovered the missing link is a technical team that was supposed to be done. That thing of 10 points was simply a step down for Laida after losing AU to accommodate him. And do you know what happened? ODM sat and said, last time, during the Uhuru era, we were punished by Kenyans for being associated with government, yet we didn't eat. So they said this time round, Baba, you must keep quiet. You must keep quiet. Allow us to eat CSS, PSs, ambassadors, right? Chairman of parastatals, board members, tenders. You saw Karuma list 20 projects for one constituency. One constituency, Karuma alone. What about the other ODM MPs? What about the other broad-based? To say what they have gotten from this government. So Laila is in a tricky position. His heart is with the people as a reformer, transformation, but he's being told by the people, we must eat fast. So what are we saying? Please, even though some people are throwing stones at Sfiuna, they know the heart of the people of ODM. And when I say ODM, it's not Azimio, remember, it's only ODM in Luo Nyanza. Why? Because Kamba's left, Kisses have left, Western have gone, most of Mijikendas have left Azimio. It's only ODM, a small part of Luo Nyanza. So what is going to happen? Let people not tell us that ODM doesn't know what they are doing. A lie deep inside he knows. It's only that he must, because now they are being called. Like when Sfiuna spoke for 2 hours on television, calls were made. You must tame that guy. And that's why the Central Committee was formed, was made urgently. And so the system people were very happy to be told, you see, it is Sfiuna who have led to say that we are moving off the tempo in the agenda. It is a very simple thing. Let people meet on Sunday. Let people meet on Monday. Actually, SDA should have another function on Saturday. Let people continue talking. We have no problem. Let people, things will come to pass. Okay. Let people go around. But one thing I can tell you, is this. There is a new revolution coming. Sfiuna went to Kakamega the other day, and he asked the people, is what I'm saying what you are saying? The people said yes. Where would rather Sfiuna be? This Sfiuna cannot be continuing.
Before even member of Kileleshwa responds, my question would be, if at all the party supports the social development, as Mwalimu said, and that event is not going to fundraise for Sfiuna and all the other members that are invited there. They are fundraising for the members that they claim own the party, the Wanjiku, in that area. Would not the party be also involved in also giving a kitty to support their own women?
When as you respond to those, there's a clear divide now, especially in as far as ODM's base support is concerned. Western Kenya, Luo Nyanza. And what we can see here is that it's taking that shape. Even the meeting that was held in Kakamega, it is definitely taking that shape. Don't you think that that alone is a serious risk for the party?
No, Alai never goes to Western or Nyanza. He is in Kileleshwa.
You know, Kimone has never traveled beyond Nyanzaru. and the biggest enemy of integration in this country is devolution. Because, you know, now you'll have people who are going to work in their counties and never, if he's going to confess here.
I was in Homa Bay planning for the devolution conference.
He's saying that he has never stepped into Saboti.
Yeah, Saboti.
That is very telling. But let me inform him that, you know, popularity of any candidate have been elected. So the popularity of any candidate, even this Wamunyoros, is at the ballot. Is at the ballot. Edwin Sfiuna, his own village could not elect him. His own village, where he was born, he's a villager. His own village constituency MCA is not ODM. His own village constituency MCA MP is not ODM. Saboti, we rescued Amisi. These people are the minority. These people, the only way, Nani Muhammad Ali is just Wamunyoro who is hiding behind the Muhammad name. But he's a Wamunyoro loyalist, mbaya. Kibagendi, how long did Kibagendi stay with the other camps? He's only
Babu Owino.
Babu Owino is an unstarter. Let me tell you, kuna kitu inaitwanga kutibu kiwanja. And Babu Owino has understood the art of kutibu kiwanja. And people think this is popularity. But I can tell you for a fact that if Babu Owino will vie for the Nairobi governorship tomorrow, he will fail if he's not going to go with ODM. If he's not going to go with a broad-based arrangement. These people are the minority. Let them not scare you. The other thing they have to realize is that Edwin Sfiuna, Amisi, these people have been making a lot of noise against the empowerment which have been going on throughout the country. Suddenly, they have their own empowerment. If you hate these empowerment arrangements so much, why are you creating another one? Why are you creating another one? Because you cannot claim that you hate empowerment, but in the next instance, you say that it is also the same template you say President William Ruto is using wrongly and is It's the same template you're using. The claim of Babu Owino is still crying over PAC. He didn't get. Amisi is still crying over PAC leadership. He didn't get. Edwin Sfiuna, you've heard from our good teacher here, has claimed, don't listen to anything else. These people are not ODM. These people, they have had, I can tell you,
Team Wanyonyi will be there.
Fred, and Team Wanyonyi will shut those, because that one is ODM diehard.
He will be.
Let me tell you.
He will be in attendance at the Saboti.
He will shut them off. That's the elder in the room, and you'll get this from the meeting. Let me tell you one thing, one prediction here. I can tell you for a fact on this TV 47 that Edwin Sfiuna is not going to be the secretary of ODM for more than 2 months. Take that one to the bank.
What will happen? Will he be expelled?
He is not going to be expelled. No, ODM is the people. And the people will just decide to take over their party. See, he also took the seat. Before taking the seat,
I asked you a question about the support base of ODM, Western Kenya vis-a-vis Luo-Nyanza.
Western Kenya, you only tested the ballot. The ballot has not been tested. Western Kenya is intact. I was there. I was at a funeral in Busia. I was in Okolomani. These people are still too ODM. You know, these people are just dreaming that Uko, who is the majority constituency holder, but the party they are holding also most of the constituencies is ODM. So you only test at the ballot. You cannot claim all these theories will not work unless we get to the ballot and test them.
Yes, Mwalimu Sosio.
You know, party discipline, because I've worked in trade union backgrounds and political institutions, trying to upset the party leadership simply because of blackmail for personal interest is wrong. You cannot blackmail the leadership to get selfish gains in a political party or in a social organization, which indeed is what we are seeing from this particular group of young politicians. Tell me, for example, Nairobi, because we are all in Nairobi. Can Sfiuna be anything without ODM and the party leader? Never. All these members of ODM, including Amisi,
including Alai,
are who they are, including Alai,
yes,
including me. We became who we were because of the party leader. And the party leader is very considerate, and when he gives you support, he will give you in totality. And that must be respected. That party leader, even to date. For me, I'm out of ODM, but I still respect Raila Odinga. We have that respect. And so, some of this respect getting out of the window because of selfish interest and attempted blackmails are not going to last. And that is not going to threaten the party leadership to bend backwards for selfish interest. You know, the selfish interest is what must be destroyed in this country. If you believe in a party and you believe in the philosophies of a party, support that party. Don't worry about what comes to you and what doesn't come to you. In social democracy, in philosophy, it's all about economic equality, social equality for all, but not favors for me. So this group of naive young individuals is about favors for me, what is there for me, but not what is there for us and all of us. And trying to analyze and say, this place is gone, this place is gone. Gone where? We've not tested the votes on in the ballots. I want to.
There will be an opportunity to test.
There will be an opportunity to do that. There will be an
elections
opportunity
that are coming up.
There will be an opportunity to do that. Even the by-elections are coming. Let's wait and see what happens in the by-elections. What the people are thinking, what the people are doing. I want to state that Kenya has matured, and within the political pillar of Vision 2030, we are beginning to witness politics of issues, but not politics of ethnicity, but not politics of selfish interest. It's about the people of Kenya. And that is why we are seeing the manifestos of serious social democratic political parties bringing forward pro-people issues.
Okay.
And that really is what we must nurture. And for me, from the trade union background and as a social rights and a social justice activist and fighter, I see the broad-based team as a team that is giving a promise for the turnaround and the transformation of the future of this country. And those parties within that arrangement must remain strong, strengthen internal party discipline, strengthen internal democratic processes, and we have decisions that are good for the country. And we don't need to fear 2027.
I'm looking at the time, just briefly before I give you your final comments. Yes, Bwana Kimoni.
I want to understand what really party discipline means, because I am looking at it when it comes to us. I may not call myself as Mwalimu because he's seriously my senior. Because when I look at when he started teaching in 1993, I was still not so big. I do not want to say where I was, but I want to understand.
Maybe I taught you.
Is it us, the young people, our ideas and our views, must they align, or expressing our own ideas, must it be misconstrued to mean it is indiscipline or stepping aside from the party structures when I say this is how I see it this way? Because by the time Mwalimu got to class in 1993, when I was barely 6 years, how he saw classroom then is not how the classroom is today. The way Caleb Amisi is seeing things and the way Baba used to see them when he was Caleb Amisi's age or Edwin Sfiuna's age, I do not think it is the same way. The kind of people that you're aspiring to lead currently, who are there then and who are there today, are different. And that is why when Edwin Sifuna spoke in Kakamega and asked, am I speaking your language? Am I saying what you're saying? They said yes. A huge acclamation. I want to see Babu Owino, Caleb Amisi, Sifuna and the likes being given that opportunity to express without being told you're being indisciplined simply because you're not saying what the party leader or those who are close to the party leader are saying. And my point would be, why is it wrong for the Honorable Gathoni wa Mushomba to travel to Saboti to her colleague, Member of Parliament, to support whatever he's doing? Why would it be wrong for Babu Owino to come to Nyandarua and support what another Member of Parliament is doing, simply because they are not of the same political party? If it is truly party discipline and aspirations are to lead the people and bring them together without looking at tribalism, then why is it wrong? Why should it be misconstrued to mean indiscipline within the party?
And even as we continue with this discussion, because I want us to move to the final part of the show, I want to introduce one more discussion. I think it will form part of your final comments. And this is according to what the IEBC declared this week, the fact that the legal provision for recalling of members of parliament is not tenable due to lack of proper legislative framework. The youth are not happy about this, and they gave us their reactions. Following this declaration, it is part of the stories here, TV47 Youth, and their take on IEBC over the recall law. Let's have that story, then I'll give this gentleman an opportunity to give their final words.
We are here today to express our deep concern and disappointment with the response received from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, regarding our petition to recall Honorable Esther Mudhoni Pasaris, the women representative for Nairobi County. We initiated this recall under Article 104 of the Constitution, citing multiple and consistent violation of public trust, abuse of office, and failure to uphold the values of leadership and integrity.
We remind the Parliament and IEBC that the Constitution is not a suggestion. It is a supreme law of the land, and no public institution has the luxury to ignore it. We hereby demand, as the Constitution provides, immediate law and or legal framework for the recall of members of Parliament, failure to which we shall revert to our constitutional rights under Article 37 to protest and demonstrate.
Yes, Article 104 of our Constitution provides that the electorate under Articles 97 and 98 have the right to recall the Member of Parliament representing their constituency before the end of the term of the relevant House of Parliament. But IEBC has come out and said any Member of Parliament currently will have to finish their term because we do not have proper legislative framework to activate this provision of the Constitution. Parliament shall enact legislation to provide for the grounds on which a member may be recalled and the procedure to be followed. That's in the Constitution, but they've conveniently or otherwise ensured that it is not possible to do this. It was one of the big discussions coming from the events of last year that many people would have wished to change or recall their members of Parliament because of their acts of omission or commission. It would appear this is impossible. So many parts of this Constitution, apparently now we're coming to learn, are not enforceable.
Thank you. I'll first take that seconds to just mention in a nutshell over the last debate to say this. And this one I'm saying in principle. I don't want to go to the details. One, nobody should think there's crisis in ODM. What is happening, the party leader knows what he's doing. There are people in government who are doing what's supposed to do, defend the government. And there are people like Sfiuna who have been sent by Raila Odinga to test the waters and show that they are with the people. If you want to know what I'm saying, look at the 10-point agenda. By December, it will be declared dead. What Sfiuna said. They have just, prolonged that time so that the government does not feel uneasy. Number two, Western Kenya never votes for government. Since 1992, since 2002, they always vote for opposition. If there are people who are good in this country and democratic, it's Western Kenya. All along, they have voted for opposition. They have been voting for ODM because ODM has been in opposition. This time round, we are going to bag, the official opposition is bagging all the 5 counties of Western. Or what now we are deciding, which party where, governors, senators, MPs are going to vie on which party, depending on the parties that we are going to ally with in Western. The test will not be in 2027. The battle they are talking about is Marava. We are all heading there. We are going to take that seat. It is true. Kakamega out of 12 seats, if I'm not wrong, 9 are ODM. That is history. Going forward, we are going to bag all those seats in Western Kenya, just for record. But I can tell you, there is this issue, and Raila is very happy to know that people are pushing, pulling over. There is no crisis in ODM. They know what they are doing. At the right time, they are going to exit. Now, let me say this. Fred, in finishing that point, as official opposition, we have nothing to lose. If Raila decides to vie, that is a loss to the state because it's already part of the government. If Raila decides to endorse Ruto, when he vied in 2022, he got 66% turnout in Luo Nyanza. If he decides to endorse Ruto, Luo Nyanza will vote about 25 to 30% only. Those are the votes he are going to give. If himself vying, he got 66 turnout. What about if Ruto? He is going to endorse Ruto. 30. So we are not worried about all that as official position. Let me switch to what you have asked. I'll go to the point. Fred, we must stick to the law and the constitution in this country. Let me tell you what's going to happen. And that's why we said IBC came in office with a lot of trust deficit. Very low, like 5% or 3%. Because we had glaring issues about people who are at the dam at night, We had people who are state officers, like 4 of them, who are again commissioners. But we said, we'll move on. So what is going to happen? The official opposition, our team of lawyers, are going to move to the Supreme Court to ask what happens when you ask sorry to use this word, when you ask, and this is just paraphrasing, when you ask people who are supposed to be to be punished by the law, to make law about themselves going home. What happens? And the Constitution 2010 is a growing document. We go to Supreme Court very early and ask the Supreme Court, please tell us, where is the Kenyan? Where do you leave the Kenyan? Because you are telling people to make a law, yet they are the ones who are supposed to be taken home by the same law. So those are things we want to quickly go and seek for interpretation, because there ought to have been a timeline. We were looking at the Constitution. There ought to have been a timeline. By this time, this law ought to be in place. It's now how many years? Since 2010. It is not there. So we want to ask, if Kenyans like, and this is the Constitution, they are given the right to National Assembly to make a law about them going home, they don't, what should happen? These are the issues that already we are talking about as a team of lawyers from our team. We want to see what to do, because definitely who is supreme here? Is it the 290, 340 members of parliament or the millions of people who voted for the constitution? Definitely the people are supreme. If people want MPs to go home, a formula has to be found for them to go home. That's all what we are talking about. And so I hope the Supreme Court can go back, give them a month or two, because it's possible. They pass laws at night. That's what we are trying to tell. We'll be proposing to the Supreme Court, give these guys a month.
Right.
Give them a month to come with a law to take them home. And that is Supreme Court.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Mbaye. Final word.
My final words would be on IEBC, and I want to echo what Dr. Mbaye has said. Us young people have, he gave them too much percentage. We have 3% of trust, the trust that IEBC came in with because of what happened previously. The legislation that is there providing for members of parliament to be recalled, the members of parliament were supposed to indicate how. Remember, I cannot legislate on how I will be going home. I should be legislating on how I'm going to parliament. Now I'm in parliament, you want me to legislate on how I'm going home to be recalled by the people. These are loopholes that were deliberately left there by the system and the drafters, that for members of the nation, for the citizenry to recall their member of representation, there are so many bottlenecks for you to achieve that it will take you a whole 5 years for the member to finish his or her term. What we are saying and what the youth that we have seen said, we are so disgruntled with the way the system works, because if the institutions in this nation were allowed to work how they should work, if we were not appointing our cronies, our friends, and our loyalists into these institution positions, then this nation would work. But when, even going back to whatever we had discussed about NACADA, the people who are distributing alcohol are the legislators, some of them. So there is no way they will come up with a law that will kill their business. So if my business is telling the youth to elect me to get a job, but I'm telling them to look for ways to get a job, but I'm leaving my business to come and get a job from them, then do you want to tell me that I will be genuine enough to tell them this is how you take me out, other than the ballot? So whatever we are looking at here with IBC saying there is no proper law to recall a member, it is because it is just left there by the Constitution, the drafters, that for you to go home, there is this that the member of the voter should fulfill. The youth are saying, what we want are performing members. We send you to represent us, not to represent yourself. So when you legislate for you who is not a member. Don't go there thinking Kimona is the member of parliament for Ndaragwa, so I have to legislate in a manner to safeguard myself. I should be looking at it in a way that tomorrow I might not be the member of parliament. How will I want to be served by the member who will get in?
Thank you so much, Bwana Kimone. Mwalimu Sfiuna, you go next.
I think from Mbaye's and all the other, looking at the youthful politicians within parties and within ranks and files, particularly parties where they are centennial democracy, the young leadership should learn the ropes and internalize. These are the leaders for the future and for tomorrow. And therefore, there should be greater harmony. And once a party has taken a decision, whether you like it or not, it binds everybody. That is a practice. It's not reason to rebel, and not unless you don't believe in the philosophy of the party. If you don't believe in the philosophy of the party, it is always very simple. Walk out and go away. Then in terms of recalling members of parliament, I have said time and again, and I still say, we have a constitution. We have certain provisions in the constitution, but we don't have enabling legislation. That's a serious gap. We don't have enabling legislation to clarify on how a member of parliament can be recalled so that the public can know and the public can be given sufficient civic education. We don't have an enabling legislation on public participation, so that we know that these are public participation. They are not gatherings where you talk to people.
Yes.
We must have those public participation laws so that it can guide Mheshimiwa here to conduct his own public participation in legislation oversight and representation at Kileleshwa. We don't have an enabling law to enforce Article 37 of public demonstrations and picketing. It's important we do it so that we become an orderly country that promotes democracy and the right to self-expression. We also don't have a legislation to implement referendum, because referendum should be easy and should be conducted with ease by the IEBC. Matters of national interest. I even argued out in my other life that bringing a new curriculum to Kenya, we needed an extensive public participation that would have required even a referendum on it. Because we must be serious as a country. Let's not look at what benefits you as a person, what benefits you as a region, what benefits you as a political party. I think it has reached a time we argue out of self-interest, and I think that is what this media space is all about. We don't come here just to defend, but we come here to build ideas that can change this country. And so those are issues that remain to be dealt with. And very lastly, we must transform our economy so that there are decent jobs for everybody. And where there are decent jobs for the majority of the citizens, and it is possible to do it. Many economies did it, Singapore, Malaysia, the Asian tigers, the global north. Kenya has a potentiality to achieve it within 5, not more than 10 years. And that is why the president is on a transformative agenda that must be supported by all. You don't support it because you think it is going to advantage the re-election of the president. Support it because it's going to transform the country. It's good for the country. None of the leaders in place are here forever. They will go. The last day of William Ruto is 10th of August, 2032. There will be a new president at that time. That is definite, for sure. And so we should know that will happen.
Fred, no. Wait a minute. You see, there are people watching us.
They cannot go that line.
Yes. No, I'm being factual.
This is factual. No. I have right. One term.
Fred, I have right.
No.
An opinion cannot be a fact.
Fred, that is not. No. That is one term. He should no. Can he guide? He is a teacher. Can he guide the students properly?
Okay.
One term ends on 10th of August 2027.
Okay.
For record.
No, let him go home and sleep. And if he needs to
but Mwalimu
is a teacher.
An opinion.
Let's allow
You cannot. No.
William Ruto will leave State House on 10th of August
2027. Yes.
That is my opinion.
2027.
Opinion.
That is
2027.
It is an opinion.
That's a fact.
It is Bonala's turn now.
Thank you so much. I think on the matters of party discipline, I will leave it at that. That ODM has its own mechanism. The leadership has spoken, the members have spoken, and we remain committed to the broad-based arrangement. On recall, I think it's very unfair for IEBC first to try to align itself with the MPs and the senators and ignore all other represented leaders elected. There's a process of impeaching the governors. There's a process for impeaching the president. It cannot be that you can impeach the governor, you can impeach the president, you can remove the MCAs through the County Government Act, I think Article 27 to 29. There's no constitutional provision for that, but you can still recall the MCAs. But the Election Act, which was invalidated through the petition of the Katiba Institute, was supposed to be amended. And it has not gone beyond the second reading because the MPs and the senators are stalling it. It's not fair to do that to the citizens. It's only fair, just like the issue of pension. We've had a member from Mihango, Honorable Kados. He has served as a politician since 1997. This person has been elected faithfully by the people. He was in politics before President William Ruto. So how do you leave that member to go home tomorrow without pension, while the MPs, the senators, and all these elected leaders have pension to go home? I think it's not fair because, sometimes public service and elected leadership is also part of a scheme of service, and we have to take it into account. But Fred, lastly...
going to court.
Fred, and I think that Wamunyoro would consider some of these issues. Instead of trying to fight William Ruto all the time, they should be pro-people. The last thing which I have to speak before leaving here, Fred, is the issue of the employment dispute between the countries. And people don't realize it much, but what Tanzania is trying to do, Kenya should have done earlier. I can tell you for a fact that today, most of the electricians, most of the masons, most of the plumbers, most of the hawkers of mandazis, chai, and whatever, in the city of Nairobi, 99% of them are not Kenyans. I had a very nasty fight. I saw pictures of a very nasty fight in Githunguri, where some of the people who are guarding a home, some of the people who are working at a home were stabbed by one of the guards, who was a former child soldier in Burundi. So how these people get to this country? Somebody gets from Burundi or DRC into Kenya today, running from war, probably was a child soldier of M23, and becomes a hawker on Uhuru Highway. When he has a small dispute, because the country has come from does not have proper due process, or there's a breakdown in law and order, then you let them come and start doing business within the Nairobi. I think is a waiting tragedy to happen. And if we don't put in proper controls, because this is an immigration issue, the national government will tell us.
But
and
the issue is, and sorry to cut you short, the issue is that we are part of the EAC community. And,
yes.
Opening our borders is part of the agreement, of the treaty.
Yes.
Then wouldn't we, by doing what you suggest, be going back on the same, just like Tanzania have done, and should that be the way to go?
No, what I propose that we do is that we have to vet. If we are vetting Kenyans who are citizens of this country before we give them employment, how are we having foreigners getting employment, earning a living in Kenya? You saw the issue which, was in the headlines of all the newspapers, the media outlets in Kenya sometimes back, the issue of the hawker who was claimed to have been assaulted by city askaris, the hawker who was selling, I think, mandazi and it was poured out. It was not that. When it was investigated, we found that first this was a hawker from Burundi, and they have developed a tendency that if they are approached by the enforcement team, they'll start throwing tantrums and they'll pour their own, merchandise. And then they'll earn public sympathy. And then there'll be an uproar against the enforcement officers. And then there'll be a breakdown in law and order. I think we have to vet, not only from the immigration team, but the whole, security structure needs to vet these people so that, and we need...
Actually, Fred,
allow me now, allow to give
have IDs. No, Fred, some of them have IDs. When I went stop by and bought something from one of them, then the name came Burundian. Then I asked them, how do you survive here? Yeah, I said, do you have IDs? Yeah, me, I don't have, but some of my colleagues have.
Isn't that what we are aspiring to?
No, Kenyan IDs, Burundians, Kenyans IDs, let me tell you. But now the problem is, Fred, I'm an expert on delivery. I believe in action. We have a lie here. Who has access to Raila Odinga? Who has access to State House? And we are still here crying. What is all this we are talking about BBG? Because surely you come here crying like it's not the time Ali was in opposition. Yes, like he told Ali for to be in State House to the president. Come on, let's not stop this show. Let's not come here to come and crying.
Do you think Kenya should have those protectionist ideas like Tanzania has?
I believe and think that regional integration is very important, even for our economy to thrive. But it should not differentiate our Kenyan people. We should not benefit other nations at the expense of our people. Why do I say this? If the other foreigners, allow me to use that word, are coming to Kenya to benefit, where Kenyans themselves are not benefiting, then we are not doing regional integration. We are sacrificing what we have for the benefit of others. And this is my last point that I want to make. If we cannot continue growing the business in Kenya, but we are importing what we are calling cheap labor, just because they will be around the streets and they will pay our county government some few shillings here and there, we are killing our industry. For example, there's news that we have imported without tax rice. When we have farmers in Mwea stocking up and piling up their harvest in Mwea, yet we are importing rice. We are not growing our economy. We are killing our own farmers. And that is why now you see this kind of ripple effect of why do we have Burundians here? Why do we have South Sudanese here? whatever Suluhu is doing in Tanzania is saying whatever that can be done by Tanzanians, let it be done by Tanzanians. We should also do the same. What Kenyans can do, we do not need to pay to get services from other countries.
Yes.
No, I think that is working backwards from the objective of East African Community. There are protocols on labor mobility. It is there. And the free market economy, it is also there. The aspiration is to have one, not just economic federation, but political federation. I've been at the space of teachers, and we've noted this mobility of teachers to the different parts of the federation. And in fact, the civil service of Rwanda is basically manned by many professional Kenyans. And the intra-African trade is about opening up boundaries, free movements of goods and services, and free movement of people. So if we talk about opening borders, you cannot stop people from moving. The only thing is, let us have strict protocols in place that can allow people to do what they want to do. There is an aspect of economic freedom, competition we should not fear. I found a Congolese hawker in Bomet hawking electrical items. And in a free market is a willing buyer, willing seller. I think we should accept to live within that particular space because a bigger economy is good for all of us and it's good for the human population. It is what Europe has done. If you want to get to Schengen countries, you just get one visa and you will be in many countries. If you want to fly all over Europe, you can do at the lowest cost. Let us not insist on being slaves and being shackled to the original demarcation and economic weakness and abyss of the colonial masters. We must march forward with both political and economic integration and allow free labor mobility. The only thing that needs to be done is for governments to agree on protocols, who does what, which citizen should be allowed to do what, and Kenya should just remain an open country. The only thing we need to do as a country is to work on our economic systems and transformation to create more opportunities for our own citizens. But cherry picking, cherry picking, and waking up titanically to react to an item that already exists even within the protocols is not right. And I think what Suluhu is doing is not right. It is wrong, and Kenya should not adopt what Suluhu is doing. We must lead the region and the sub-Saharan region of Africa to integrate economically and allow free movement of goods and services.
Dr. Mbai.
Now, on that one we agree about, so that we don't lose our viewers. We are saying this. I am a proponent of expanding markets, right? Yeah. All the way from the issues of international trade. Market of East Africa, Africa, ESFTA, all the way to the world. So what Suluhu is doing is reactionary because of the issues of Boniface Mwangi, the trolling by Kenyans, you know. I don't think it's emotional, sorry to say, and we are hoping that he will decide what he did because that's not nice. Kenyans should work everywhere. I have no problem buying sugarcane from a Burundian myself. I have no problem because anybody else should come and do it. Yeah, Kenyan should be able to, the guy's industrious, buying groundnuts. The only problem we have, Fred, is when a Burundian gets a Kenyan national ID, when we have a government. We don't want to overthink that all these issues of foreigners getting IDs, Somalis getting IDs, has a link to 2027 elections. We just don't want to. we are hoping not to overthink. But honestly, I think...
digressing from the discussion.
I mean, no, I'm just... no. By the way, Fred, we are saying here, we don't want to let anything go. Between now and 2027, anything we see, we must look at it with a microscope because we are not sure about what is going to come. The other day, refugees, 800,000 of them, they are going to be made Kenyans. Okay? The other story about all these kind of things. Please, we want to know from this government how many Burundians, South Sudanese, have Kenyan, instead of work permits, have Kenyan IDs. That's where the whole story is.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Dr. Peter Mbai, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP. Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, who served as SG of KNUT and also as a member of the National Assembly. Kimone Kimone, who is a Director Public Participation in Nyandarua County, and Robert Alai, MC Kileleshwa Ward. Asanteni sana for your very well considered opinions on the issues we've discussed. Of course, the big one this morning, and I think people daily put it aptly, NACADA gets drunk on beer. Uproar over new alcohol rules, that's the front page of the Daily Nation. Walevi wakaziwa kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo, and kwenye the Star, alcohol ban plan to strike traders' jobs hard. Of course, there are other issues which, because of this, have been overtaken that we should have discussed. Officials are now barred from government contracts. That's following the signing of the Conflict of Interest Bill, a big deal, but that we didn't get time to do that, as well as the regulation of churches. Why days are numbered for role clerics and cult-like churches after Cabinet approved recommendations from a presidential task force on religious organizations, setting in motion a process to regulate church operations. Will it become a reality? Well, after the break, we talk matters. I know what you want us to discuss, Dr. Peter Mai. We'll have another show. Pneumonia and tuberculosis in children. Dr. Evelyn Agisa Kegode, consultant pediatrician and chest specialist at Gertrude's Children's Hospital, will be in studio for that conversation. I know Matters Prayers will come later. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Good morning.